All right, if you're an ET getting ready for your next advancement exam, you've come to the right place. You already know how crucial it is to have a solid handle on test equipment management. In this explainer, we're going to dive right into ET Soup Chapter 7 and give you everything you need to know to absolutely crush that part of the test.
So, here's our game plan. We'll start with the big picture, why this all matters so much. Then we'll get into who's in charge, how to master all that key paperwork, what to do when things don't match up, and how to keep your gear ready to go at all times. And we'll wrap it all up with a quick-fire review to make sure it all sticks. You ready? Let's jump in.
Okay, first things first, let's talk about the why. Why is this so important? As an ET, you're responsible for some of the most critical systems on the entire ship. So understanding test equipment management isn't just about checking a box on an exam. It's about being a sharp, effective technician who keeps that ship in the fight. Just think about it for a second. What good is a billion-dollar radar system if the gear you're using to test it is giving you bad readings, right? As a senior ET, the buck really stops with you. You're on the hook for all the test equipment and for the sailors using it. This program, the TAMS program, is your roadmap to making sure everything works perfectly when it absolutely has to.
Now, the official manual straight up calls this a considerable challenge. And hey, they're not kidding. But don't let that wording scare you off. The TAMS program is actually built on a really logical system. And trust me, by the time we're done here, you'll have everything you need to handle it with total confidence. So, who's in charge of all this? Let's break down the chain of command for the TAMS program. Because knowing who does what is always the first step to making any system work for you instead of against you.
This org chart from the source material lays it all out for us, nice and clear. You've got the EMO, the Electronics Material Officer, up at the top, but the real key player, the person you'll be dealing with day in and day out, is the TPO, the Test Equipment Petty Officer. The TPO is the absolute heart of the TAMS program, the one running the show.
You're going to come across two main types of test gear, GPTE and SPTE. The easiest way to think about it is this. GPTE is kind of like your Swiss Army knife. Think of a multimeter you can use on all sorts of different systems. SPTE, on the other hand, is more like a specialized surgical tool. It's designed for one and only one specific piece of equipment. Knowing the difference is a huge part of managing your inventory.
All right, next up, everybody's favorite topic, paperwork. I know, it's not the most exciting part of the job, but it is the absolute backbone of the TAMS program. Every single form has a purpose, and together they create a clear, unbroken line of accountability for every piece of gear. Let's start with the big one, the SPETERL. This is the single source of truth for all of your test equipment. It's the official list from NAVSEA that tells you exactly what gear your ship is authorized to have and how many of each. If you ever have a question, the SPETERL is your Bible. It's the final word. And here's what one of these pages actually looks like, right out of the manual. See how each line gives you the vitals? You've got the stock number, the name of the gear, and, most importantly, the quantity you're supposed to have. This document is the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about.
Okay, now let's talk about the custody record, or NASUP Form 306. This little card is your absolute best friend when it comes to accountability. Why? Because when a technician signs this card, they are formally taking responsibility for that piece of equipment. It creates a clear paper trail, which is so important for preventing gear from just walking away.
And you can see right here on this sample form how it works. Every time that gear changes hands, bam, a new signature. It's a simple system, but it's an incredibly powerful tool for keeping tabs on all your valuable test equipment.
Okay, so you've got your team, you've got your paperwork, but what happens when you do a physical count and the numbers just don't add up? Let's get into how you troubleshoot and fix those inventory discrepancies.
Honestly, the best way to think about this is like balancing your checkbook. On one side, you have what the speeder says you're allowed to have. On the other, you have what you actually have on board. Any difference between those two numbers is a discrepancy, and that's what you need to go fix.
Now this chart right here, this is your secret weapon. Think of it as your cheat sheet for solving the most common inventory headaches. So for instance, if you find out you need a piece of gear that isn't even listed on your SPETERL, you just look at the chart. It tells you the likely cause, and even better, the exact form you need to submit to get it fixed. It's a lifesaver. Okay, so having the right gear is half the battle. But the other half, making sure it actually works perfectly when you need it to. Let's talk about how to maintain and calibrate your equipment to make sure it's always accurate and reliable. The easiest way to get this is to think about your car. Preventative maintenance? That's like getting your oil changed on schedule to keep the engine from blowing up. Corrective maintenance is what happens when you didn't, and now you're broken down on the side of the highway waiting for a tow. A well-run TAMS program is all about doing that preventative work to avoid the big, expensive breakdowns later.
Now for a really critical idea, the Metcal program. This is all about one thing: accuracy. Just imagine using a multimeter that's off. You could waste days troubleshooting a system that's perfectly fine. Or, way worse, you could sign off on a faulty system as being good to go. The Metcal program is what stops those kinds of disasters from happening. And this flowchart really shows you how it all works. It's all about traceability. The accuracy of that tool in your hand is guaranteed by an unbroken chain of standards that goes all the way up to the National Bureau of Standards. It ensures that when your meter says 1 volt, it's the exact same 1 volt on every other ship in the Navy.
All right, we have covered a ton of ground, from the big picture concepts all the way down to the nitty-gritty details of paperwork. So now, let's lock in all that knowledge with a quick review and a few practice questions to get you primed for that exam.
Ready for a rapid-fire recap? Let's do it. TAMS, that's the whole program. TPO, the person running the show. SPETERL, your official shopping list. GPED, your general, all-purpose gear. SPED, your specialized, one-job gear. And Metcal, the program that makes sure it's all accurate. You got it? Good. Let's hit some questions.
First question: who is the #1 person, the focal point for all things TAMS on board the ship? The answer is the Test Equipment Petty Officer, or TPO.
Okay, next up. You need a specific multimeter for a job. What's the one document you check to see if your ship is even allowed to have it? You got it. You check the SPETERAL, the Ship Portable Electrical/Electronic Test Equipment Requirements List.
And for our last question, what is the main goal, the primary purpose of the Navy's Metcal program? Its purpose is to ensure all your test equipment measurements are accurate and traceable to national standards. Remember, getting a handle on test equipment management is a huge part of being a great ET. Study hard, and you're going to do great on that exam. Good luck!